Hello and welcome back to another episode of Bantz with Lawrencia on the Lawrencia TV, a channel that celebrates ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So please subscribe, like, share, and also click on the notification bell to get notified anytime I post new content. So for today's episode, I want to ask the question, if you're given the opportunity to choose between a very big wedding and a mortgage or buying a house, what would you prefer? What would you choose? So this conversation started on social media when a young lady tweeted that she was refused access to her friend's wedding because she was unable to buy Aso-Ebi. For those of you who don't know what Aso-Ebi is, it's basically like bridal. You know how you have bridal trains, but these are people with kind of native attire, maybe lace, Ankara, or whatever it is, like a uniform that they wear to identify maybe the groomsmen or the bride's maids. So this lady is saying that her friend, a very good friend of hers, was getting married, and she was excited about the wedding, only for her to be informed that if she doesn't buy the Aso-Ebi, she's not going to attend the wedding. And she said she was devastated because her financial situation at that point, she couldn't, like, she had other commitments. Money was tight, so she couldn't cough out that money to buy the Aso-Ebi, and she made her friend aware of it that, you know, I'm happy to attend your wedding, but I cannot pay for the Aso-Ebi. And the friend basically told her, well, everything is in the hands of the wedding planner. If you cannot buy the Aso-Ebi, you cannot attend my wedding. And, you know, she was bitter about it. She was complaining bitterly that this is a wedding. This is a very good friend of mine. This is a wedding that I have, I've been looking forward to, and only for for me to be uninvited because of wedding Aso-Ebi. So let me just break this down a little bit. For those of you who don't know about Nigerian wedding, most times people that sell Aso-Ebi to people, especially those who are not financially buoyant, so for them to raise money for their wedding, they usually sell Aso-Ebi at a very inflated price. So the money they make from selling Aso-Ebi, they use this money to, you know, cater for some of the needs that they have for that wedding. And most times you see that everybody wants to have a big wedding. I remember a friend of mine, the cousin was getting married, and I was invited. I was excited about it, and we sat down and we were talking about this wedding here in the UK, and she was just giving me kind of a breakdown of the whole wedding, and she mentioned the hall. The hall was very expensive. So I was basically asking, I was like, why is your cousin paying such an amount of money for just the venue? Like, that is a ridiculous amount of money. They had to pay a year in advance to be able to afford like a fraction of the price, and it wasn't even weekend, it was during the week. So I was like, why do you have to pay that amount of money? I was looking at the whole thing. I was, you know, put on my project management hat. I was calculating the budget, and I was like, just for the venue alone, we're not talking about decorations, we're not talking about entertainment, we're not talking about, you know, food. We're just talking about the venue itself, and you've spent all this money. And I was telling her, this is a mortgage that, you know, she is spending just on a venue, when you guys, because I know them, the both of them are just trying to, you know, get by. And I was looking at it in the sense that these people are going to get married. They're going to start looking for accommodation where they're going to move into, because the lady was staying with her parents. He had an accommodation, but obviously they have to move from that accommodation to accommodate the both of them in a bigger house. Even if they are starting small, it's going to be like a 1-bedroom house. And I was looking at the cost of that after the cost that they would have incurred during that wedding, and then starting a life together is going to be a whole new cost on its own. So I was like, why wouldn't you just get a mortgage and, do a very small wedding? You can now celebrate like an anniversary, a very big one, when you're relaxed and balanced. And my friend just said, well, that is what she wanted. She wanted a big wedding. He started selling Aso-Ebi. It was inflated price. I got my Aso-Ebi, and even at that point, I wasn't really. I was thinking, why would I even spend this amount of money on this material that I will still have to go and sew? And it was just ridiculous. But I was like, if this is how I'm going to support this couple, I'm happy to do that. So I went back and I was thinking about it. I was like, would I, like, if I am in her shoes? I mean, people are different. And I was asking the question based on myself. I said, if I was in her shoes and I have that money to pay for a whole, we're not talking about the wedding dress, we're not talking about the outfit that both the bride and the groom are going to wear, we're not talking about accessories, we're not talking about rings, we're not talking about, a whole bunch of things that you have to think about before wedding. That is not even, this is just for the whole. So I was thinking, if I have that money, I'd rather get a mortgage. I wouldn't have, like, I don't know, like, people are different. Some people will tell you they've been planning their wedding when they were teenagers. Like, they started planning their wedding when they were like 10, 11. And I'm thinking, how? I think for me, you can have the wedding of your dreams if you want, if you can afford it. But the reality is, a lot of people cannot afford the wedding that they want. They've planned, they have this, big, massive wedding in their head that they want to, have for themselves, but their finances does not match what they are planning. And most of these people go into, they get loan from banks, especially the ladies, because I think for men, they are kind of black and white. They are straightforward with their finances. If they cannot afford something, they will tell you they cannot afford it. But most times it is the ladies that want to have that big wedding regardless of how much it's going to cost. So you see a lot of families going into debt. There's this lady, actually, some years back, she got married. Like, it was a massive wedding, like the Nigerian wedding. It was big, it was colorful, it was the talk of the town, everybody attended. And I think she was trying to get into influencing at that point, so she kind of decided to use a big wedding to break into the world of influencing, and it worked. It worked really well because everybody was talking about the wedding, everybody was talking about the colors, the venue, the food, and all that. So fast forward few months later, because she got the loan in her name to pay for the wedding, and I think maybe the husband at that point was saying, I cannot afford this, why are we getting into debt before even getting married? But when people have that mindset of, I want my wedding to be the talk of the town. She got the loan, she sponsored the wedding, and they were supposed to be as a couple. I think she thought that as a couple, they are supposed to be paying for this loan. But when they got married, they started living together. Most of her money was going to pay this, loan that she got, while the husband is thinking, we're now two, we're married, I need you to help me with, certain things. And from her own perspective, he is not being understanding, because the money that she borrowed from the bank, she used it to sponsor their very massive, lavish wedding. So it caused quite a bit of friction between them. And a couple of months later, the marriage ended. And the wedding was a success, but the marriage tanked. And she came online, she was bitter, she was complaining about how the husband left her with all these loans that she took to sponsor the wedding. And the man came out and said, well, I did not ask you to borrow money for this wedding. We got married, we already started with huge debt. We got into this marriage with huge debt, and now we're two in this marriage, and you're not even trying to help me. You're busy paying this debt, and you're thinking I am, not being a very supportive husband. So it just got messy online. At the end of the day, I don't even know what happened, but that was how that marriage ended. So sometimes I think people that are selling Aso-Ebi, Aso-Ebi is very beautiful. Like if you see weddings, one of the things I look at is actually the Aso-Ebis, and it makes it so colorful, it makes it so beautiful. But at the same time, you don't have to impose that on people, especially friends. I mean, if people want to buy and they can't afford it, it's okay. Even if you're having 5 people where you are Aso-Ebi, I think I'm just different. I think that's the way my mind works. But imposing inflated material price on people just because you want to raise money for your wedding, I don't think that is fair. I don't think that is fair. And even after that wedding, people are not even thinking after wedding, what's going to happen in the marriage. People plan for wedding, but they don't plan for marriage. Like the friend I was telling you about, after marriage, it was just anyway. Anyway, don't just go and do big wedding that everybody is going to talk about, and then you get into the marriage, you're like scraping by, drinking garri on a daily basis just to get by. Like, how is that? You're just doing wedding to please people, and then you're in the marriage and you're literally in debt, paying different money. You're trying to just why do people do that? Why? Even for me, even if I get a sponsor that will tell me I am going to sponsor your wedding, and if at that point in time I don't have a mortgage or I don't have a house, if I know that I'm going to spend all this amount of money on the wedding, and then for the marriage I'm going to be probably managing daily, trying to pay bills, just working to pay bills, I'd rather thank you for your generosity, and I will explain why I am going to have a smaller wedding and use the rest of that person, especially anybody that is happy to contribute financially. If you explain to them why and how you want to spend that money wisely, I don't think any reasonable person would tell you no, I just want you to have a big wedding. No, they're going to understand. And then you're selling Aso-Ebi to people, you're kicking friends out that cannot afford your Aso-Ebi just because you're trying to raise money for your wedding. That is not nice. I think people should start making better financial decisions, especially when you're coming together as 2 people to live together. I mean, the first thing you need to be talking about is how to manage your finances, how you're going to get things, make life easier for you along the line. And at the end of the day, you're still going to have children, regardless of how you think, okay, I am financially okay and he is financially okay. You're going to have children, and along the line, you're going to struggle at some point. But if you don't have the issue of moving from house to house, then it's a bit easier. It makes life much easier. So people should start rethinking certain things. Don't just have big wedding because everybody is having big weddings. Don't just think, okay, my brother or my sister got married, she hired a 50 million hall. Me that is getting married right now, I want to hire 100 million hall because I can do it. No, it's not a competition. I think that's the problem. People are always competing. You see somebody, they said, oh, this person, their Aso-Ebi is about 100,000 naira, and you're thinking, my own is going to be 200,000 naira. But the people you're imposing that on, can they afford it? Can your inner circle, inner friends afford all those things? And if they cannot afford it, are you happy to just welcome them as friends and not just kick them out just because they cannot pay for your Aso-Ebi? So people should start thinking about things. I mean, if we talk about financial literacy, financial intelligence, financial management, it's not about what you make. It's not even about what you save. It's about how you put that money in use. The question is, a very big wedding or mortgage or a house, let's say you have you're not financially stable, your husband to be is not financially stable, and somebody, a very generous donor or a generous sponsor, tells you, I'm happy to sponsor your wedding, I'm happy to give you this amount of money to spend for your wedding. Would you blow all that money on a wedding and then, start struggling during the marriage? Or would you get a mortgage and make life easier for you when you get into that marriage? What would you do? Resist the urge to shalaye. Resist the urge to pepper people. Resist the urge to appear on Bella Naija. Life is too short. Make life easy for yourself. But that is my own opinion. I want to hear your opinion. What would you do if you're given that option? Which option would you take? So let me know in the comment section. Please like, share this video and subscribe to my channel. And thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.